When we think of India, the first thing that comes to mind is poverty and a stagnant economy, but that's becoming a thing of the past. Back in 1980, the average Indian earned just $260 a year, but now, in 2021, the average Indian earns almost $2,000 annually. India's economy is revolutionizing every day, and poverty has been steadily declining over the years. India, once an exploited nation throughout its history, is finally industrializing and making great strides toward full prosperity. So, how is this country becoming one of the largest economies in the world? After 1947, when India gained its independence from the British, the country was left without financial power and with an entirely impoverished population over 500 million people, more than 90% of whom were living in poverty. It had also experienced deindustrialization and the suppression of various industries during British rule, leading the world to believe that the country had no prospects for the future. In other words, it was doomed to fail. But with its cheap labor force and enormous consumer market, India began to recover. The Indian government implemented a series of economic reforms based primarily on heavy industrialization and the regulation of the financial system. With these measures, the government succeeded in encouraging new companies to enter the country, not only through incentives, but also because a more credible financial regulatory system had been established. Indian industry not only expanded in numbers, but it also began producing goods with greater added value. In other words, the focus shifted from producing purely primary goods to creating more expensive variations of those primary products. The Indian population, which was once completely uninformed in matters of technology, has become one of the most advanced in this area. In 1994, the economic contribution of the IT industry was less than 0.4%, but by 2019, that figure had risen to an almost incredible 8%, remarkably high number when compared to highly technological economies like Japan, where the IT industry's contribution to GDP doesn't even reach 8%. In short, India's economy has been completely transformed by focusing on the development of its national industry and technology, allowing its industries to promote themselves over the years. During decades of development, India's industrial share of GDP increased from 17% in 1950 to over 27% in 2016. Numerically, that might not seem like a huge jump, but if you consider the advancements in industrial technology, the growth becomes staggering, and it's all amplified by the massive population which, unlike China's, is much younger. While China's population faces total stagnation due to controlled birth rates imposed by its government, India has no such restrictions, and its population is, on average, 10 years younger than China's. With an Indian birth rate of more than 2 children per woman, compared to countries with stagnant population growth, this creates the perfect scenario for economic expansion. Throughout history, a large population combined with a solid economic development plan has consistently led to continuous progress. There's another factor fueling this growth. Take Brazil, for example. In 1961, massive economic growth followed a large migration of people to big cities, which spurred significant expansion. This is exactly what's happening in India right now. While many countries are still trying to organize their development, India's process is just beginning. More than 800 million people, early 70% of its population, still live in rural areas, indicating enormous untapped potential for productivity and growth. This is the reality. India remains a very poor country, and unfortunately, its infrastructure continues to be a major hurdle in reaching its full potential. However, with the rapid expansion of its industry and population, the prospects for India could not be better. Industries around the world are eager for what India offers. Skilled professionals who are proficient in English and an extremely affordable labor force. Moreover, there's one crucial element that China lacks: a Western culture of freedom. While China attracts enormous investments, its authoritarian government and the resulting legal uncertainties and extensive control hold it back. This is not an issue in India, making it one of the most attractive countries for investors.